Check this out. Hey guys, the Alex Man here. And behind me you can see this 1990 Honda Civic, and you guys probably see this in the background of a whole bunch of my videos, but I never really do any talking about it. Well, the reason for that is it's my dad's project, so I'm here with my dad today. This is the Alex Dad Videos. There's not really a channel with that name, so you don't bother looking it up. But anyway, so Dad, tell us about this little car you got here.
Well, this was my latest toy to replace the previous red car that I had that you might have seen in some of his videos. I decided I liked these little economy cars better. I really loved my Geo Metro, but got rid of that because my wife didn't like it at all.
Well, and you didn't want me learning to drive in that car either. It was kind of a...
That's true. Yes, that was the other thing. It was sort of a death trap. So that was about the time Alex was old enough to drive, and yeah, that car had to go for that reason. So we got this. It didn't look quite this good when we got it. It had typical Honda rust in front of the rear wheels, and the driver's door had impinged on this front fender, so this area was all bent.
Went through a lot of trouble to get that correct fender too, didn't we? There's aftermarket ones that didn't fit right. And
yeah, so I bought two aftermarket ones, and neither one of them gave me this nice neat line, and it was mostly visible in this area, so I ended up with getting some junkyard out in Texas to ship me a used fender. And the other thing it had that was very annoying was when you'd open the door, it would make a springing sound because this piece here, the weld had broken.
Yeah, I think all the Civic guys are probably familiar with that.
So in order to fix that, I went to a junkyard and I cut this whole section out of another car, took it to a body shop, they welded it up, cut that section out of my car and welded that one in. And it came out pretty good. I can't tell that it's, well, I can tell, but it'd be very difficult for most people to tell. So the reason I liked this car, you know, and the other major problem it had was the transmission had a bad bearing in it, so...
Well, we're still working on rebuilding that too.
So it made an awful sound. But the reason I like this car is it was basically stock, it was in pretty good condition, and it had lots of nice options, like these speaker shelves in the back.
Which are pretty much impossible to find, right? Or
yes, they're difficult to find, sort of expensive, but the other option it has... Yep, so it had this rear shelf, had the shelf supports, had the speakers and the speaker mounts. These aren't actually the ones that came with. I found some better ones, but...
Original Honda covers there. But they had some other rare things, like the...
fog lights.
The fog lights.
Fog lights, I didn't even realize they were rare at the time. I was like, oh, fog lights, that's nice. So I was happy with those.
How much does a set of those go for on eBay?
Well, I hear they go for around $400. So
half the price of the car almost.
Now, take a shot here at the steering wheel and the instrument cluster. So you can take a look at this picture here, maybe pause it, and you can figure out what it is that you're looking at that's not stock.
A little bit of a hint here if you haven't guessed it.
So yes, the steering wheel isn't stock because the stock steering wheel didn't accommodate those buttons, and this generally only has 2 buttons in it, not 3. So this is off of a sedan, and I dremeled this out and put in the 3-button piece so that I could add the cruise control button.
And so it's got factory cruise control out of a different car, right? So it's not original, but it's
right. They didn't put cruise control in any of the hatchbacks.
But yours has it.
So we fit it in there. I probably still need to paint this little piece of metal that I've mounted it to, so it doesn't look so hokey. But you have to switch out the foot pedals, so you have to take out the entire foot pedal mechanism, because the place that this cable hooks to, the throttle cable, is different. Then you have to get the throttle cable from an EX because the SI cable is different on this end from that end, so you need an EX cable to hook to the throttle in an SI. As you can see, it's mostly stock. I grabbed one of these because mine was missing. I don't know if it's necessary or not. I think this is an aftermarket radiator. The air conditioning works, which is a requirement as far as I'm concerned. So the seat, of course, the driver's seat, bolsters are always worn out. But I found some guy who had a set of front seats that had been in his closet for 10 years. So the only things wrong with the seats in this car are a couple of minor cigarette burns. So I'm always on the lookout for a better set. The other thing that always happens is the seat belts tear up the back of the door panels.
Yeah.
I've seen a number of door panels, but the ones with these black cloth inserts are rare, and one that's less damaged than that is rare as well.
How about that center console? That's
yeah, that's this one piece that connects the center console to the driver, to the dashboard. This section right here is I got that from, I don't know, it's not U.S. domestic market. I think it came from Holland or something like that. I got it on eBay. It was like $80.
And it just makes the whole interior look a little cleaner. Dash kind of fits into the center console. And
still no cup holders, but it's nice. The sunroof was also leaking when I got it.
Cool.
So that was a big mess. Like, first night I had it, I left it out in the rain. In the morning I went to move it, and I got, you know, a shower of water running out of the sunroof. 50% tint, so that I could do it on the doors, on the driver's doors, and match it. And I put the pinstripe on after I got it painted. So as far as the paint job, the only thing non-stock about the paint, because it is the stock color, but the stock car, these were black. So I have a set of black ones in case I want to go back to stock, but I think that they did a nice job on those, so I think I'll probably leave them. Spent a lot of time rummaging around junkyards looking for pieces that were in good shape. I'd still like to do
later model wheels, maybe?
Yeah, I'd like to do some nice SI wheels, and I've got the
flaps and everything.
Railing arms off of a Acura Integra, so I can do the disc brake conversion on the back. But you know, some of the rubber parts like this, very hard to find in really nice condition.
This is an unrestored Honda part, right?
Yes.
But it's not from this car, but it's...
Right, it's actually off of an 88 or an 89. I had to cut about an inch off of it to make it fit, because they have a slightly smaller piece here.
An all original, unmolested Honda Civic Si. You don't see those anymore. You just see little 20-year-old guys driving around with coffee cans for exhaust. It's cool when you see one that's, you know, showroom fresh.
I also purchased another set of everything for the back here, sitting over my desk, that I'm thinking of doing that nightshades black stuff on. See how that looks here? But
kind of a black stripe going around the back.
Yeah, I don't want to not be able to go back, so that's why I got it from a junkyard, and I figure I can screw around with it, and if I don't like it, I can put it back the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hardest things about getting this repainted was this piece, because I had to take all these plastic pieces off so they could paint that without screwing up the plastic.
Yeah, the cars were designed to go together, but not designed to come apart in some cases.
Yeah.
A lot of snap together where you can't get them unsnapped.
And it turned out that these pieces on the ends were broken anyway, so I had to go to the junkyards and look for a lot of those. But I managed to do it. And then the sunroof problem was solved by...
going through about 50 cars, maybe more.
Well, there was a little piece that had broken off of the glide, and it was stuck in the track. That's why it wouldn't close all the way. So as soon as you pulled that out, it would close. But getting new glides was hard to do. So I found them in an old...
Legend, maybe? Or?
Yeah, it was a Legend. That's right. It was an Acura Legend. It had the exact same... used the exact same glides.
Maybe we could start it up here, see how it sounds.
if anybody has a bead on some original floor mats, I'd love to hear about it. They seem to be nearly impossible to come by. I've ordered some aftermarket ones that are shaped like the original ones, but they don't have the Civic logo on it. Talked to my wife about embroidering that on there for me.
So they look just like the originals, but they're not. They don't say Civic, but they're everything else.
They're shaped just like the originals, but they don't say Civic. So I'll get my wife to do some embroidery on there. If that works out, maybe I've got a new business model.
Give it a couple revs. Totally factory exhaust too. It's not loud, but it's not supposed to be.
So the other parts that always break on these cars, these plastic covers here, and to me this just looks like it's faded the wrong color. I mean, it matches this little piece of plastic in here. So every time I go to a junkyard, I pick those up. I'm looking for the controls out of a CRX, because I hear they're push button instead of these little sliders, and it sounds like it would be sort of an upgrade. I was thinking about putting the JDM back seats in with the headrests. Just seems like the 4 people in the back ought to have a headrest in case we get rear-ended. Before I got the car repainted, I stripped the interior completely. So we did, while we had the interior out, we put some sound deadening stuff in the sides. I was able to scrub the headliner, so the headliner is nice and clean.
A little bit dark in there. Well, so now you guys know about this car. It's in the background of all my videos. It's my dad's little project. And I suppose if anything new comes up, you know, I'll post a little video about it, but feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah, this morning he was helping me. I had the transmission that it came with, the transmission that's in it, and I was in a junkyard the other day, and I've got this list of parts I'm looking for. If I ever see it, you know, pick it up. And I was looking for a bunch of little stuff, and I thought it was going to be an easy day at the junkyard. And then I walked around the back of this Civic it was a CRX that was there, and it was an HF. And there on my list was, get an HF transmission if you ever see one. It's like, oh. So now I'm out there on a summer day with, you know, a small bag of tools trying to remove a transmission from a car. And I managed to get it, so now I've got this Civic HF transmission, and I'm swapping out the 5th gear from that transmission into this transmission, so that
this one's revving at like 3,000 at 60 miles an hour.
You give me a little bit
taller 5th gear.
Taller 5th gear.
But you still get all the peppiness in 1 through 4. So we might have a couple videos about that. Well, Dad, thanks for talking to these guys about the Civic. I'm sure there's a lot of guys who are going to like this video.